David, good to see you, of course. We are just half an hour away from the market opening, the ASX opening, and it is expected to be diabolically bad for investors, but also all of us who hold superannuation funds. What do you say to those worried retirees in particular this morning?
Yeah, well, look, Australia needs and the world needs strong leadership. Somebody that can get the phone picked up, that can get into the Oval Office and to eyeball President Trump and to not just look for Australia's interests, but look for the world's interests in clearly articulating that we need a rules-based order of trade. It's served the United States, Australia and the world well. And we need to reset, but we need to be able to reset that relationship. And, you know, Peter Dutton, if he becomes a Prime Minister, will be over there within 60 days. And he doesn't come with the baggage of making any personal disparaging remarks about President Trump. So that relationship can be reset with respect. And that's how world leaders should deal with one another. That's how you actually get results. But I think, unfortunately, what we're going to see is until you can get that to happen, not just Australia, but other close allies being able to get in, the lived experience will be one that I think not only for the rest of the world, but also the United States is one that they're going to feel. And until that's felt, I think the political pendulum will stay where it is, but until when it does, I think that there'll be hopefully some room to negotiate and to move back to that rules-based order.
David, this is all because of uncertainty and the unpredictability of Donald Trump. This also happens during the first week of our election campaign, obviously. The conventional wisdom is that voters in times of uncertainty like this will stick with the incumbent. Why shouldn't they, would you argue?
Well, when the President of the United States won't even take a phone call from the Prime Minister, let alone let him in the front door, how do you expect us to advance our position or to leverage our position with the United States to influence the President to get back to a rules-based order? World leaders don't make disparaging personal comments about one another. That's how you lose respect, and you need a relationship predicated on respect. And you need certainty and strength in leadership. And that is, unfortunately, hasn't been achieved by Prime Minister Albanese, so much so that if you look at what happened with these tariffs that were imposed, Canada and Mexico didn't have broad-based tariffs imposed on them. They were industry-specific. There was nuances to it because they were able to have a conversation with President Trump. Now, we have a more compelling case than anybody. We just paid a cheque of $800 million for our first instalment on a Virginia-class submarines. You would have thought that President Trump would have at least picked the phone up. I get he hadn't gone over, but he could have at least picked the phone up if Prime Minister Albanese had wanted to make a call. He's just been too timid in dealing with this. He's been sitting back, his trade minister's been sitting back and just letting it all happen rather than leveraging our position and trying to lead into it. And that's, you know, unfortunately, I think the missed opportunity for Australia and for us to get a better outcome for the world.
Okay, let's quickly talk about work from home, or more accurately, the plan to get people back into the office. Have you capitulated to a scare campaign here? Well,
I think we've obviously heard from the Australian people. I think it shows leadership and courage that you've got a man that wants to be Prime Minister of this country that says he's made a mistake. He's listened to the Australian people. That's what you want in a Prime Minister, that this is something that people want in the flexibility of their workplace. And it's something that we still believe in principally. It was the extent and us getting really by the principle of just trying to make sure that every dollar of the Australian taxpayer that we spend and use is used wisely and they get value for that. And so I think this speaks more volumes about the character of Peter Dutton and his ability to listen, to own up and to act. That is what you want in the qualities of a leader who needs to lead this country through some tumultuous times. When there is uncertainty in the world, you want a leader that's going to listen to the Australian people and make sure that he's prepared to have the courage, whether he's made a mistake or not, to reset and do the right thing. That is what Australia needs right here, right now.
You say you still believe in the principle, though. I mean, David, we know that Chris Minns has done this. He did this well before you did in New South Wales. So Haven't seen Anthony Albanese criticise him. Couldn't you get him on board to support your policy?
Well, this is the abhorrent behaviour of Anthony Albanese, the desperate nature that he and his Labor ministers are running on. It's been a scare campaign, whether it be Medicare, whether it be this. I mean, if we're true to form now, Anthony Albanese and Murray Watt should turn their sights to Chris Minns and talk about the women in the New South Wales Public Service. If they are as principled and valued as they say they are, then why wouldn't they? I mean, if Chris Minns has done this, why hasn't Anthony Albanese come out and defended the hundreds of thousands of women in the New South Wales Public Service? If it's a principle that he wants to protect, and I believe in it too, it's just the scale that we want to make sure that we get the balance right, and we didn't articulate that right. It was a mistake. It's a principle that women should have, and I believed in it even before I got into Parliament in the private sector, because we were locking a lot of women out of the workforce, and it was an opportunity cost to our economy that we didn't have the best and brightest back in the workforce. But you've got to get the balance right, and when you're using Australian taxpayers' money, you've got to make sure that you live up to that responsibility. Now, the intent that we were talking about was right. The execution wasn't, and Peter's had the courage to come forward. And I just think it actually shows Peter Dutton for who he is. He's a man of principles and values, but he's a man of courage and is admit to stand up when he's made a mistake and get on with it.
David Littleproud, thanks so much for joining us this morning from Bendigo in Victoria. Never know where you're going to be, but good to see you in Victoria this morning.